Well, it is most certainly one of them days. I've spent all day watching Nostalgia Critic, all morning watching Cinema Snob doing Freddy Krueger. I've left my lounge room with Nostalgia Critic talking about the Stephen King miniseries The Shining. How many times have I watched this review? Like, not to exaggerate, but over 30 times. It doesn't take any of my energy to sit there and watch Nostalgia Critic tell me something I know over and over. So last night, my brother Sean surprised me. I was a little worse for wear. He woke me up and he said, "Hey, Liam, I've got a box full of Stephen King books." So that's going to wake me up. "Okay, what do you got? What do you got?" I said. And he gives me a stack, but what caught my attention, thank you very much, is Revival by Stephen King. Now, a lot of my friends read this before me. You know, friends that are like, "What did you think of Revival, Liam?" And so, "Well, I haven't read it yet." I have the very first edition trade paperback in my hand. 2014, King came out with this. At the time, I wasn't in a really good spot. But my friend Fatty and my friend Red Boy were like, "You gotta read Revival. It's a screamer. It's like the ultimate horror novel." So I picked it up. And then as soon as you open it, he gives thanks to some of his favorite authors. This book is for some of the people who built my house, Stephen King says. So who inspired him to write his scary shit? Because this isn't Hearts in Atlantis. This isn't The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. This is not Shawshank Redemption or The Body. This is Revival. And this is a screamer. This is a supernatural horror novel of multi-dimensional proportions, which when you finish it, it's got more of a scary ending and a down, upsetting ending than Pet Sematary. I think you can actually classify those two books together. What has the most upsetting ending of any Stephen King book? Pet Sematary. I think Revival gives it a run for its fucking money. Pardon my French. So, Revival. Fucking Revival. This thing's a maniac. So let's talk about the authors that he gives props to. Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, Bram Stoker, Dracula, H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu, Clark Ashton Smith, I apologize, I've never read him, Donald Wandre, Fritz Leiber, we all know King reads him, August Derleth, which is just the H.P. Lovecraft master, Shirley Jackson, The Lottery, The Haunting of Hill House, Robert Bloch, Psycho, and last but most certainly not least, Peter Straub, Ghost Story and Floating Dragon. And Arthur Machen, whose short novel The Great God Pan has haunted me all my life. I have a feeling that King wanted to do that to us. Leave us with a book that we just didn't feel that good about, that was just so dark and horrible, it left a bad feeling in our hearts, stomachs, and minds and mouths. So then we turn the page, and we have a quote by H.P. Lovecraft. And the quote sums the whole book up. "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons, even death may die." Oh my God. Now, that's not talking about multi-dimensional immortality and elder beings from beyond the gulf of space. Well, then you didn't read it close enough. No, I'm joking. Fifth business. Okay. I'm not going to get right into this book. I've only read it once, and I read it when it came out. I like this because the main character is named Jamie. Stephen King has never had a main character named Jamie in any of the 60 plus novels he's ever written. So that was refreshing. You spend a couple of hundred pages following Jamie through his childhood, and he meets like this traveling priest, like a preacher, who comes to his little country town, and he's just not your normal priest. He's very like agreeable, like you get along with him very well. He seems to really draw the whole town in, but he's got this infatuation with electricity, but not the electricity that comes out of our power points, the stuff that comes out of the sky and what its potential is. And hundreds of pages in, you really don't know what's going on, but he keeps bumping back into this preacher as he lives his life. This Jamie character starts off as a kid, he becomes a heroin addict, he's kind of like a musician. He keeps bumping into this guy, and this preacher, his name is Charles, he stops becoming a preacher and he starts doing like these sideshows and circuses where he's fucking around with electricity and experimenting on people, and like shocking them with these strange things of electricity with these conduits, and then something happens to you. So that sounds like I'm not really giving anything away, but in this book, the main character, he gets shocked by this preacher. He does some kind of experiment on him, and he's never the same again. He starts having these nightmares where this little dead kid is like a snake, and it crawls up his leg and starts singing happy birthday to him. But he's not singing happy birthday, he's singing, something happened to you, something happened to you. And he wakes up screaming, and he knows something has happened to him and he's never going to be the same again. And so like 10, 20 years later, he bumps into this priest again, and he's still doing his experiments, but he's finally worked out what he's doing. Now I have to give it away. This is horrifying. We're 60 pages from the end, and this is where Revival turns into the ultimate horror novel. He has one last experiment, and he needs Jamie's help. And he conducts lightning in this strange little place where there's so much like storm activity, and like uses like metal or gold or something, and transforms this lightning like into this building where they all are, and it rips a hole in another dimension, and this multi-dimensional billion-year-old monster climbs through into our dimension. And it's kind of like it, because yeah, it is a big spider, but it's not it. It's called Mother, and Mother controls every dimension. Every time anything who's ever alive in any dimension, human beings, animals, anything in any dimension dies, we all go to Mother, and she tortures us and eats us and rips us to pieces for eternity. It's worse than hell, but it's almost like when King wrote it, he believed in it. It's almost like he had some kind of insight. And literally the last fucking sentence to this book is, when we die, we go to Mother. The end. And you're just like really? For a second you're like, do we? Like, I don't want to be eaten by this giant spider. And the thing is, in the book, when Mother climbs through, just for a second, she sees Jamie before the portal closes. And he sees her. And once Mother sees you, she wants you. So even though he's not dead yet, for the rest of his life, every time he's alone, Mother, she's calling to him, I want you. So no matter what kind of life Jamie lives, when he dies, he goes to Mother. And we all do. I watched an interview with Stephen King, I can't even remember what it was, and someone asked him what was up with Revival. He didn't even give him an answer. He's like, I don't really want to talk about that book. It's like, what, did something possess him to write Revival? Because this is the darkest, most horrifying horror novel since Pet Sematary. And I think it's even darker. So yeah, there's my, always wanted to do a Revival review. And I thought today was the perfect time to do it, because I scored myself a really cool trade paperback first edition. And if you want to have nightmares for the rest of your natural life, do yourself a favour. Read Revival. Alright, look after one another. Don't take shit from nobody. Whoop whoop.